All right, what is going on, guys? Live stream should be starting up now. Happy New Year. Hope you guys all had a great night last night. It was a pretty solid night for me as far as DFS-wise goes. The only tilting thing again was the Ingram ejection, but still cashed pretty easily in tournaments and had a lot of viewers win some big money as well. So let's see if we can keep it going here, guys, for the first NBA slate of the 2021 season. Before we get into kind of the breakdown, let's take a look at what we know so far. So we did just get news. Jimmy Butler probable. We kind of expected that. Grayson Allen game time decision, that would change some things a little bit, as far as those backup guards for Memphis, right? Bane, Conchar, if Grayson Allen's out, those guys should get some decent run. Killian Hayes, we're still waiting on his status. He is currently a game time decision. LaMarcus Aldridge is out, so we should see Jakob Poeltl starting at center once again this game. And then some of the stuff is for Saturday. Let's see. Is there anything else? Russell Westbrook, and this is early in the day, he is out. So we should see Raul Neto starting at point guard again. Obviously he becomes good value if he does start. And yeah, back to the Brandon Ingram rejection from last night. So we're all up to date. Let's see. What was the stuff that just came out? Nothing. All that stuff is for Saturday. Maxi Kleber available to play. Not huge news, but all right. Let me refresh this. Make sure we're all updated as far as Vegas odds. Let's take a look at these, and then we can get into the team by team breakdown here. So we have Celtics. We have Pistons. The 213.5 over under. The Celtics are 8.5 point favorites. Grizzlies, Hornets, a 220.5 over under. The Hornets are 4.5 point favorites. Heat and Mavs, a 224 over under. The Heat are 1 point favorites. We have Hawks, we have Nets, a 244.5 over under. The Nets are 6 point favorites. We just saw that game the other night, right? Super high scoring there. Bucks and Bulls, 233.5 over under. This one has a good amount of upside, but a 14.5 point spread, there's a good amount of risk here. So that's a game that if you're playing cash games, probably don't look to it. But for GPPs, I do like the upside a good amount in that one. Wizards, Timberwolves, also a good appealing game, 234 over under. Timberwolves are 1 point favorites. Clippers and Jazz, this one's kind of ugly, 221 over under. The Clippers are 3.5 point favorites. We have Suns, we have Nuggets, it's a 220.5 over under. The Nuggets are 3.5 point favorites. So that's kind of what we got so far. Jamal Murray is probable. Oh, and I think, did I skip over Michael Porter Jr.? Michael Porter Jr. is out, so that does change some things here for Denver. We'll get to them in a bit. But let's start with Memphis and Charlotte. So Memphis, we're still waiting on Grayson Allen news. That is actually pretty significant. If he is available, he'll play mid-20s minutes. If he's out, it would make guys like, Desmond Bane and Conchar viable value punts. 3.2 for Conchar, 3.7 for Bane. Bane played over 30 minutes the last game. So those guys are potential value plays if, in fact, Grayson Allen is out. But at the top, we have JV, we have Dylan Brooks. These are the two guys the offense is going to kind of run through when John Moran is out. Like them both at the top. I think both are, have a good amount of upside. JV should play over 30 minutes in a fantastic matchup. Brooks, again, is going to do a lot more offensively with no jaw. So both those guys I have interest in. Again, good matchup. Don't mind Kyle Anderson, too. He's been playing phenomenal. Probably would prefer Dylan Brooks to him, but those two are pretty close to me. And then Tyus Jones, I think, is a fair play. I think he goes under-owned after that, kind of letdown game, the first game. But again, that was a blowout. He only played 23 minutes. I expect if this game stays competitive for him to play 30+. He is a decent play there in that range. Same with Brandon Clark, decent play, not a priority for me. And then again, the value we mentioned with Bane and Conchar. Let's talk about Charlotte. Charlotte's a team that still tilting from that other night when I had a great lineup, and then Gordon Hayward shoots like 1 of 15. Luka Doncic finishes with 25 fantasy points in a fantastic matchup, but that game blows out. Still not over that. Hayward, Rozier, Graham is usually where the offense is coming from. But, last game we saw LaMelo Ball. We saw Miles Bridges really step up. I'm not really interested in them at their respective prices. I think you could go back to Ball and Hayward or Graham. Graham's been shooting the ball absolutely terrible. Minutes went down a bit that last game. Again, partly due to the blowout. I expect mid-30s minutes from him in a competitive game. He has not shot the ball yet. So maybe buy low there. And Hayward, still tilted from the other night, 4-16, but he's had some upset, right? He's had 46 and 49 fantasy points in 2 of the first 4 games. Great matchup, so I'm fine with them. I don't know if one play really stands out. I think PJ Washington at 5'6" looks pretty intriguing. He got in some foul trouble, 5 fouls, so only played 18 minutes. If he stays out of foul trouble, I expect, about probably over 30. He's been really solid in those 2 games that he did stay out of foul trouble with no Cody Zeller, so he's in play in the mid-range. Really, you can talk me into probably 4 or 5 guys here in Charlotte, but does one really stand out more than the other? I don't know. So This is a team for me on a 10-game slate I'm probably going to avoid just because I don't know if one play really stands out. But if you land on Hayward or Graham or Washington or Biyombo, I'm fine with it. Like Biyombo with no Cody Zeller will play about 30 minutes. Not a super high usage guy, but someone you can look to at under 5K. Really, there's a bunch of decent plays here in Charlotte, and probably at least one of these guys will have a really good game. But trying to nail down which one's going to be, it's a little bit more difficult. So that's the reason I'm not as excited there about Charlotte. Let's move on to Miami and Dallas. Miami's a team I'm basically avoiding with Jimmy Butler back. It just hurts Hero and Dragic, who are priced up after their big games last game. Bam's priced about right. Like, yeah, probably one of those guys is a decent game, but I don't really want to go there on a 10-game slate. Duncan Robinson intrigues me, but minutes have been a little up and down for him. 30, 32, and then 24 and 24. He's scoring dependent, so the floor is low. Upside is, probably 30 plus if he's hitting his shots. Avery Bradley, kind of the same thing. Again, reliant in the scoring. He's pretty similar to Duncan. Duncan's probably a better shooter, so I'm going to take a shot on one of those guys. It probably would just be Duncan. But yeah, Miami's a team I don't have a ton of interest in. On the Dallas side, Luka's been really tilting me the last couple slates. Has let me down in 2 times that I've been pretty high on him. So I'm off him this slate, which means he's going to go for 70 plus. And, I mentioned this, but last year Luka was 12K plus, no Porzingis. So the upside is massive on him if he can get it going. He does look, maybe a little out of shape. He's been struggling, but this is like a great buy low. I just don't know if I can get myself to do it, but because I think I prefer some other prices or players for a little bit cheaper. I just know Luka's going to have a big game tonight when I'm off him. So, should play mid-30s minutes with no Porzingis. Usage rate is insane. And this game, probably will stay competitive. So have interest in Luka. Like him as a contrarian play. Tim Hardaway is a little pricey for me. I do have interest in Josh Richardson at 4.9. He should play over 30 minutes in a competitive game. He shot about 1 of 10 that last game. Again, he's shooting the ball a decent amount, over 10 shots in each of the first 4 games. He's a guy that can get you some rebounds and assists. So I think he is a viable cheap play at that price. The centers are like Powell and Kleber are going to split the minutes. You can take a shot on one of these guys. Don't know if they're like amazing plays though. And that's really it for Dallas. So let's move on to Boston and Detroit. Tatum, Brown at the top at 8-6 and 8-1 respectively. It's a good matchup. So I'm fine if you land on either one of these guys. Brown had a fantastic shooting game the last game. I probably would prefer Tatum. When the price is about the same, but I just think Tatum is a little bit more consistent, even though they had the bad game the last time out. So yeah, Tatum over Brown for me if you can make me pick. No thank you to Marcus Smart. With Tice, Williams, Thompson, I think my favorite would be Tristan Thompson. In the last game, he was healthy. He played 27 minutes, and they rested him in the previous game. So I expect, 20 to somewhere between 20 to 25 minutes. I think he would probably be the guy I would look to if I'm going to take a shot in one of those Boston value guys. And then Jeff Teague, we don't have the starting lineup news yet. Again, I can refresh this, but if he starts again at point guard, I think he actually is one of the better value plays on the board. Same starters for Charlotte, and yeah, that's what we got so far. So got to keep an eye on that starting lineup news, but if Teague starts, I do like him for value. You could look to Pritchard off the bench, but probably would prefer Teague if he does in fact start. On the Detroit side, no Blake Griffin. Jeremy Grant's a little pricey for me. Derrick Rose, like him as a contrarian GPP play. Plumlee seems priced about right. You can go there. Josh Jackson's been playing really, really well. Does he continue to shoot? Does he continue to play this well? I don't know, but with no Blake Griffin, he will probably have to do more. I think he's a nice GPP play. I don't think a ton of people get to him for the price and the matchup, but I still think he has upside. If Killian Hayes is out, I think DeLon Wright makes for a nice value play, assuming he starts at point guard. We'll see what they do. Got to keep an eye on that news. But other than that, there's not a whole lot I like for Detroit. Atlanta, Brooklyn. So this is a game, obviously, I think has a good amount of upside. Trailing at 10-1, firmly in play. Great matchup. Should play mid-30s minutes in competitive game. So do like Trey at the top if you can get to him. Collins finally had a big game the last time out. Played over 30 minutes, had 48 fantasy points. Both Capella there, it kind of hurts his upside a little bit. So I'm fine if you land on Collins, but not a priority for me. Capella, with them limiting him, I'm probably not going to go there. And then we have a couple plays in like the mid-range with Bogdan, Hunter, Reddish. I think all these guys kind of in this like 5 to 4K range are all viable. All should get, around 30 minutes or so. And I think they're pretty decent plays and good matchup. So I think all those guys firmly in play. They're kind of the mid-range for the Hawks with Bogdan, with Hunter, and with Reddish. Other than that, though, value, I probably don't get to anyone else. So that's it for Atlanta. Let's move on to Brooklyn. Let's see. So Brooklyn, Kyrie, KD, like them both a good amount at their respective prices. Kyrie shot the ball 10 of 27 the last game and still had 40 fantasy points. So upside is pretty high with Kyrie in a good matchup. Also like KD, again, I'm still not over the fact that he was only 30% owned at 8.4K against the Hawks. That's the biggest surprise to me so far for the NBA DFS season. I still cannot believe that he was only 30% owned. He should have been 80% in that matchup. Now the price is up to 9-1. I still like him though. I still think he has a good amount of upside in this matchup. So yeah, I still have interest in KD. I still have interest in Kyrie. I do like them both a good amount at the top. LeVert's a stay away just because the minutes only played 24 minutes at last game. I'll pass. Value, Allen, Jordan, going to split the 7 minutes. Don't think we have to go there. I mean, Jordan is 4-3, but only 15 minutes at last game, right? A little concerning. And value with like Harris, TLC, Prince, I think there's better value plays on the board. So let's move on to let's move on to Chicago. Chicago's a team that's really thin. Now, this is a game, if it stays competitive, I think it's a lot of upside. But there's huge risk here, 14.5-point spreads. So with the Chicago guards, LaVine, Kobe White, like them both a lot for GPPs, right? If this game is going to stay competitive, these two are going to have big games. Kobe White played 40 minutes at last game. Zach LaVine, 35. So like them both at their respective prices a lot. Again, only for GPPs because of the blowout risk. I also really like Otto Porter. If you guys signed up for Patreon in the early video, I said, if Lauri's out, you got to play Otto Porter. 57 fantasy points, 31 minutes. Again, won some people some GPPs. Otto Porter's a guy that I love his upside, but again, this game could definitely get out of hand. So if it does, they're probably going to limit his minutes, right? So there's just risk involved, but there's a ton of upside in those top 3 guys. And LaVine, White, Otto Porter. Wendell Carter Jr., not as much at that price. Again, no Lauri Markkanen, no Satoransky, no Hutchinson, no Arshon Diakono. They're pretty thin. So I think a couple interesting value plays here. Thad Young at 3.5 did play 27 minutes. I think he is a pretty solid value play. I think you looked at Temple too, not as high of a usage guy, but played 28 minutes. Gafford got extended a bit that last game, played 22. Will we get that again? I don't know, but you could punt with him. Again, he's a good shot blocker. And then Patrick Williams at 4.4 was in some foul trouble, only played 18 minutes. I expect him to play a little bit more, but yeah, we'll just rather get to Otto Porter for a little bit more if I'm going to play someone on the Chicago side. So really, it's LaVine, it's White, and it's Otto Porter. I think all 3 have a lot of upside. Again, if this game is going to stay competitive, it's those 3 guys. And there is some value plays with like Thad Young, Temple, Williams, and a guy like Daniel Gafford. On the Milwaukee side, so love the upside in the top 3 guys in Giannis, Middleton, and Drew. All 3, again, are underpriced if this game stays close. So you're going to want exposure to this game if you think it stays competitive. I think Giannis could go for 70+ in this matchup. Really, it's literally one of the best possible matchups. So love Giannis. I really like Middleton and Drew too. It just, again, there's a lot of risk in this game. So, how are you going to approach this game, I think, is key to the slate. Are you going to, I think if you think this game stays competitive, you want exposure to it. But obviously you think the game blows out. I think you basically fully fade it. Maybe look to a guy like Bobby Portis, revenge game narrative. He would play more in the blowout. So I really like the upside in the top 3 guys. Bobby Portis at 4.5. So in games that have been competitive, 18 and 16 minutes. In the games that have been blowouts, 26 minutes in those last 3. So Bobby Portis is a guy that if you think this game does in fact blow out, he would be the guy I would look to. Again, revenge game narrative too. He's a high usage guy. Like him if you think this game does blow out. So let's move on to Washington, Minnesota. Another game I have a good amount of interest in. I'm more confident this game stays competitive. No Russell Westbrook. Brad Beal at the top, I think, is one of the better spend ups. Should play mid-30s minutes. Offense is going to run through him. I think he has a good amount of upside in a great matchup. I also like Thomas Bryant a decent amount in the mid-range. Should play over 30 minutes. Again, matchup solid for him. No Karl-Anthony Towns, so don't really have to worry about the foul trouble, I don't think. So I do like Thomas Bryant in the mid-range. And then a guy like Raul Neto is just too cheap if he does, in fact, start at point guard. The last game he started at point guard with no Westbrook, 32 minutes, 40 fantasy points. Wouldn't expect that again, but I think he is one of the better value plays if he does, in fact, start. And then, you can look to a guy like Troy Brown. In that game, Westbrook's out. He played 24 minutes, but is he priority? I would rather have Neto probably. And then Rui, he did shoot the ball well, but limited him to 25 minutes in his first game back. I think you can give a look to him. I would probably prefer Thomas Bryant, though, at a similar price. And that's really it for me on the Washington side. On the Minnesota side, there's a lot I like here of no Karl-Anthony Towns. I think D'Lo looks like a really good option at 7.5. Played 31 minutes the last game. Again, that was a blowout. He did not play at all in the fourth. So he was on pace to play probably high 30s minutes. Again, great matchup here. No Karl-Anthony Towns. I think he is one of the better plays at his price. I also like Beasley, Naz Reid, Ricky Rubio. I think all 3 of these guys in the mid-range look pretty good. Rubio started point guard last game, only played 26 minutes. Again, due to the blowout, I expect probably about 30, maybe a little more in a great spot. I think Rubio looks good in the mid-range. I like Naz Reid if he can stay out of foul trouble. He is a guy historically is always in foul trouble, but a good point-per-minute guy. I like him in the mid-range. Don't mind Anthony Edwards. Malik Beasley will probably have to be the number 2 in this offense. He shot the ball 16 times. No Karl-Anthony Towns the last time. So really, the Minnesota guys I'm pretty high on. Also like Culver. He started the last game. Shot the ball 0 of 10. Still put up 16 fantasy points. So he's not going to shoot 0 of 10 again. I think he's a pretty nice value play at 4.1K. And then that's probably it for me. So, yeah, Minnesota is a team I do like a decent amount on this slate. Let's move on to LA and San Antonio. Real quick, though, guys, before I get into these Final Four games, if you enjoy this content, would appreciate to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let's see. We are at 450 concurrent viewers, 50 likes. Let's try to go for 150 likes on this live stream. That would be greatly, greatly appreciated. We will get to questions here at the end, but on the Lakers side, LeBron James, this is pretty big news. He's questionable. He has been questionable the last 2 games in his play, so I expect him to play. If he does play, him, AD are fine options, but not priorities. And then, the guys in the mid-range are just fine as well. If LeBron James is out, I think AD looks like a pretty nice spend up. Schroeder, Kuzma in the mid-range, I would like them a good amount. Schroeder probably have to do a lot more with no LeBron. He has played 36 and 34 minutes the last couple games, so the minutes have been going up for Schroeder. I think he's a fine play either way, but would like him a lot more if, in fact, LeBron James is out. Let's move on to the Spurs. So Spurs, the issue I have, so Aldridge is out. Jakob Poeltl should start, play at center, probably play over 30 minutes if the game stays competitive. I think he's a decent value play. The issue is Derek White is back. So it just makes everyone a little riskier minutes-wise. We have the opportunity to get popped if we play guys like DeJounte Murray, or there's just one more body in this rotation. It makes them all a little riskier. So like DeRozan and DeJounte Murray are the 2 guys I think have the most upside. But with Derek White in this rotation, what are the minutes going to be like for those guys? Makes them a little riskier. Same thing with the other wings like Keldon Johnson, Rudy Gay, Lonnie Walker, Patty Mills. I'm a little uneasy with Derek White back in this rotation. Just one more body, so I'm a little hesitant on these Spurs guys. You can take shots on those 2 guys at the top, but I'm just a little worried the minutes might go down, so not priorities for me. Phoenix, Denver. Phoenix, Booker at 8K. Price is coming down a bit, but still not a priority for me. Ayton and Chris Paul seem priced about right. The wings with Bridges, Crowder, Cam Johnson are fine. Probably play a couple extra minutes and no Sarge, but not priorities for me. So Phoenix, not a team I have a ton of interest in. The Denver side, more to like here. Jokic at the top, I think, was one of the better spend-ups if you can get to him. 39 minutes the last game, 60 fantasy points. He has had over 50 fantasy points in the first 4 games so far this season. So Nikola Jokic is a guy I like a lot if you can get to him at the top. Got no Michael Porter Jr., so that opens up a lot here. Jamal Murray is questionable too. So if Jamal Murray is in fact out, I think Jokic is one of the best spud ups. And then a guy like Monte Morris becomes a really solid value play. Should start, probably play over 30 minutes. I would like him a good amount in the mid-range. I assume Will Barton's going to start for Michael Porter Jr. If he in fact does, probably plays about 35 minutes or so and becomes one of the better plays in the mid-range. So there actually is a good amount to like here on Denver, especially if Jamal Murray's out. Jokic, Barton, Monte Morris, right? You can even make the argument for Gary Harris, who's cheap. But again, he is kind of reliant on the scoring, makes him a little riskier, but 3.9K is cheap. Let's move on to the Clippers and Jazz. So Clippers, not a team I have a ton of interest in. Kawhi, Paul George in a tougher spot. I think I will, there's more secondary plays for me. Ibaka versus Zubac. Again, they're going to split the 7 minutes. Fine plays, but not priorities. I think my favorite play is Lou Williams at 4.9, just because he's a guy that probably plays mid-20s minutes in a competitive game. Below 5K, he does have some upside. But really, that's about it for the Clippers. Not a ton of interest. On the Jazz, like Mitchell is below 7K, but is he a priority on the slate? I don't think he's a priority. He does have upside. I think he is a little bit underpriced. I'm fine with Mitchell. I think Gobert is still a little bit underpriced too. He should play mid-30s minutes. I think Gobert, Mitchell are decent plays. Again, a little underpriced. So I do like them at the top. But Conley, Bojan, Clarkson, O'Neal seem priced about right. So really, it's Mitchell. It's Gobert for me on the Utah side. Let's finish up with Portland, Golden State. So Portland, Lillard seems priced about right, but does have upside, more of a contrarian GPP play. CJ's been playing really well, but not a priority for me. Nurkic, minutes have been down on him. Again, that last game did blow out. I expect about 30 minutes from him. He does have some upside. Kind of like him as a contrarian GPP play tonight. I don't think a ton of people get to him because they'll be box score watching. We haven't seen a big game from Nurkic yet, but I think this could be the night where we see a big Nurkic game. So I do kind of like him for GPPs. Cantor, don't mind. He's been playing decent minutes off the bench. I expect about 20 in competitive game, maybe a little bit more if the game does blow out. He's a good point per minute guy. So Cantor in play for GPPs for value. The wings like Covington, Melo, Jones Jr. are fine. I think my favorite of the bunch is Melo because he's the best offensive player, but not a priority there. On the Golden State side, there's really only one player I like in Steph Curry. 9.6K, I think he has a lot of upside. Should play mid-30s minutes. Great matchup. So do like Steph and his upside there at that price. Wiggins with Draymond Green. Well, first of all, I just don't play Andrew Wiggins. You guys know that. But with Draymond Green back, I'm not going to go there. Again, Wiggins has been solid last couple games. If you want to go back to wall, fine. But you're going to be disappointed more times than he's going to come through for you for Andrew Wiggins. Oubre at 5'8". He's been struggling shooting the ball. But with Draymond Green back, not a priority for me. Wiseman, price coming down, but still not a priority. I think I would more of a GPP play. And that's about it. Value, not really going to look to them with Draymond Green coming back. So that's what I got for my breakdown, guys. Let's see if we missed any more. Let's go over some news and then we can get to some questions. I do appreciate the support and everyone coming to check out the live stream. Again, hope you guys all had a good New Year's Eve last night, and let's get to some questions. Draymond Green eats opening night. Yeah, but again, are they going to limit his minutes? We haven't got any news yet. I assume they're probably going to be limited. Is Draymond playing? He's probable, yeah. DK, Naz Reid, Brandon Clark, or Tyus Jones. I'll go Naz Reid. I think he has the most upside if he can stay out of foul trouble. If you're going for safety, it's probably Tyus because of the minutes. Lillard or Curry, I prefer Steph. Golden State going to get blown out. Definitely a possibility. I mean, the spread is only a few points, I think. Portland hasn't been great so far. 3.5 point spread, so not super high. Durant versus Tatum, I prefer Durant. Thoughts on Cam Reddish? I like him. I like Hunter. I like Bogdan in the mid-range. I think they're all pretty decent plays. With Porter Jr. off the court and Barton on the court, usually starting 5, Jamal Murray is 1.4 fantasy point per guy. Yeah, I mean, if he plays, I think Jamal Murray is definitely viable. Below 7K. Trust D'Lo and Cash? I do. He played 31 minutes in a game that blew out. He did not play at all in the fourth quarter. So if that game stays competitive, he probably plays mid-30s minutes, maybe a little bit more. No Karl-Anthony Towns. This game should stay competitive. Yes, I think you can. Rank these in GPP. Curry, Jokic, Beal. So I'll say Jokic, then Beal, then Curry, but it's close. Mason Plumlee or Otto Porter, Justin Jackson. You mean Josh Jackson? So of those three guys, Otto Porter has the most upside if the game stays competitive. So if you're shooting for the upside, it's Otto Porter. If you're shooting for the safety, it's probably Plumlee. Reddish, Portis, or Covington. I think the Bucks blow them out. Okay, so if you think the Bucks blow them out, I think I go Portis because Portis will play about 25 minutes, and it's a revenge game narrative, great matchup. So I think if you think that game does blow out, I think you go Bobby Portis. Hunter will play. Yep, Hunter, Reddish, Bogdan, all certainly viable. DK, is the core 4 up? Yes. You might have to refresh Patreon, but it should be up there. Maybe close down and reopen it. But that plus player pool is in fact up. Tyus Jones or Conley? I'll take Tyus Jones for the discount. If you're not taking pricing consideration, Conley, but I prefer the price on Tyus Jones. Russell or Gobert? It's Russell for me. Cam or Josh Richardson? That's close. I'll go Josh Richardson, but yeah, that is close. Do you like Collins? Definitely viable, good matchup. Finally saw the big game, but with Clint Capella playing does limit his upside a little bit. Do you think Otto's a good play when the game blows out? No. If you think the game blows out, I mean, he can still get you there in like 3 quarters, but you need the competitive game if you want a big game from Otto Porter. Which Bulls do you think get extended in the blowout? I would say Patrick Williams gets extended, probably Temple. I think Kobe White might play a bit in the blowout, and definitely Daniel Gafford. So those are the guys that you could look to if you think the game does blow out. DeAndre Hunter. Okay, Hunter's playing. Jackson or Richardson? That's close. I mean, with no Blake Griffin, Josh Jackson, I think, does have some. So maybe Josh Jackson. I don't know. That's a close one for me. Thoughts on playing Neto and Bane? Yeah, you can do it. They're 2 pretty solid value plays for sure. Sadiq Bey or Isaiah Stewart, I wouldn't do either. Batum or Naz Reid, definitely Naz Reid. Booker or Gobert, I would rather have Gobert. Guys, Kyrie or Beal, that's a close one. I'll go Beal, but that is really, really close. Jokic, Durant, Neto, and Steph as core. I like that. Lillard or Curry, I'll go Steph. Hunter or Otto, safety Hunter, upside Otto. You like Jokic as a wait, what? You might have to rephrase that question. I'm thinking about locking Thomas Bryant and Cash. Yeah, I mean, I think Thomas Bryant's a really nice play. I do. Best small forward value? Let's see. Small forward value depends what you consider value. I think those Atlanta guys like Reddish, Josh Richardson, and Hunter, if you consider that value. If not, I mean, Patrick Williams probably plays more in it if the game gets blown out, if the game does blow out. Or, let's see. I mean, Royce O'Neal, DFS, those guys are cash game plays, not huge upside, but if you need something for cash, probably one of those guys. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. Again, small forward a little weaker today. Hayward or Leonard? Leonard if you can get to him, if price doesn't matter. Any Barton interest? Yes. I think Will Barton is a nice play in the mid-range. If you think the game blows out, you can play Gorgie. Yeah, Russell or Levine, that's a close one. That's really close. I'll go D'Lo just because I'm more confident that game stays competitive. So D'Lo, but again, if Chicago keeps this game close, Levine, White, Otto, probably all 3 have big games. So like you could realistically like play a Giannis with like Drew Holiday and run it back with a couple of his Bulls. I like that a lot for GPPs. But again, there's a big risk. Can you play Durant? Yes, I think you can. Great matchup, really high overrun. Do you like Biyombo at all? I think he's a fine play, not a priority. Hunter playing tonight? Yeah, Hunter, Reddish, Bogdan are all fine. Who's core 4? Core 4 is on Patreon. Thad Young, good FanDuel value. I don't know what his price is on FanDuel, but Draftkings is below 4K. Should probably play like mid-20s minutes. I think he's a decent value play for sure. Thoughts on Neto, Beal, Reddish, Collins, Reed? Yeah, I think it looks good. I have all Wizards, Nets, and Hawks. I think that's fine. I do. I mean, those three teams I'm pretty high on. Durant or Jokic, that's a close one. Jokic if you can get to him, but those are two of my favorite spend ups. Joe Harris, not a priority for me. 6,700 utility for cash. Let's see, 6,700 utility for cash. I mean, I kind of like. I mean, Jamal Murray plays, maybe Murray, but I do kind of like Nurkic here in this matchup. I think he gets about 30 minutes in a good spot. Kind of a buy low, so I kind of do like Nurkic, but if Jamal Murray plays, probably would prefer him. That Trae Young or Kyrie for the discount, but I do like them both at the top. Caesar with the $2 super chat. Thank you. Is if Hunter is playing no Cam Reddish, I think you can still play Cam Reddish. Those wings are a little hard to nail down, but they've been pretty solid. There's no Gallinari, so Reddish, Hunter, these guys probably play about 30 minutes. Again, they're not like standout like smash plays, but I think they're decent plays. 35, 32, and 33 for Hunter. Reddish has had 32, 26, and 32. So I think both those guys are fine. Again, not really like smash plays, but they're not. Cam Reddish is not out of play. DK, if I sign up for Patreon right now, will I get core picks? Yeah, they're already posted on Patreon, so if you do sign up, you can see them. Favorite small forward in the 5K range? Let's see. Small forward, 5K. So Otto Porter for upside. It's Otto Porter for upside. Otto Porter or Will Barton. I think Will Barton's a little safer with no Michael Porter Jr. So those are the guys I would look to. Best power forward, 7,400 or under. Let's see. I think I would go John Collins there. It's close with him and DeRozan. Bryant or Ayton? I'll take the discount on Thomas Bryant. Vanderbilt or TLC? I don't think I would play either, to be honest. TLC should play more minutes. Vanderbilt kind of got run because of the garbage time. Is Wiseman worth a you can do it. Wiseman's more contrarian play. Royce O'Neal, I think him, DFS, they're fine cash game plays. Thoughts on Oubre? Probably not going to do it. Draymond back. What do you say about Bay or Stewart? I don't think I would go to either, to be honest. I don't know if they get a ton of run. So what's Sadiq Bay's price? He is at 3.1K. I mean, it might get extended a bit. What's Stewart at? He's at 3.1 as well. Yeah, you can do it. They're not out of play for values, but I don't know if I'm going to go there. Should I play Booker with Jokic? You can. The price on Booker is a little bit more viable now. Plumlee or Bryant? Definitely Bryant. Ingles, GPP? Don't know if we have to go there. Best forward, 4,200 under for GPP. I would say Jared Culver. He shot the ball 0 of 10 last game. Should play about 30 minutes in competitive game. Like the matchup, so I'll go Jared Culver. Is Bane starting? Did we get that starting lineup news yet? Is Grayson Allen out? For sure. I haven't refreshed this. Hunter will play. I haven't seen it yet. We don't have Grayson Allen confirmed out, so don't know. Beasley outscores Russell. I do like Malik Beasley a good amount. Favorite small forward Memphis play? I think it's... Let's see. I would rather have Brooks and Anderson. I think he has a little bit more upside if the game stays competitive. So if you're going for the upside, it's probably Dylan Brooks. This slate is tricky. It's a little tricky. It is. Plumlee or Thomas? Yeah, Thomas Bryant. Brooks or Grant? I would rather have Brooks. Miles Bridges, not gonna have 20 and 16 again. So price is up too. I don't really like buying high end guys. Right? He just had a big game. Price is up, so I'm probably not going to go there. Bogdan 40 bomb tonight. I don't mind Bogdan. Again, him, Reddish, Hunter, I think are all viable. DK, do you like Bane, Beal, Brooks, Thad Young, Jokic, Neto, Portis, Tatum? Yeah, I don't see an issue with it. I think all guys have upside. Thoughts on Josh Jackson? I think he's a nice play. GPP play, though. Matchup not the best, but no Blake Griffin should have to do more. So, yeah, Josh Jackson's good. Irving or Durant? Tough one. Really, really tough one. Don't have a super strong take there. I think floor might be a little higher in KD just because Kyrie in the first three quarters wasn't making shots and he had 15 fantasy points but turned down the fourth. So if you're going for the floor, KD, but upside, both are very, very similar. Thoughts on Booker? More viable tonight, but still not a priority. Allen doubtful. I saw he's questionable, but recently. Would you say who would you say is the top two spend ups? Tough to say. There's a decent amount of good guys at the top there. Giannis is the game stays competitive. I like Jokic. Trae Young, the two guys in Brooklyn. So yeah, hard to really nail that one down, but there's some good options at the top. Any interest in Covington? He is cheap. He's a pretty low usage guy. He hasn't been great really 4-6. I expect probably about 30 minutes from him. I think you can go there, but don't feel like amazing about it, Matthew. Luka GPP, yeah, this is like the perfect time to buy in Luka, right? I know what's going to happen when I'm finally off him. He's going to have the big game. I just know it. Durant, Tatum, D'Angelo, Hayward, pick 3. I would say Durant, D'Angelo, and Tatum. Bane or Thad Young. So it depends on Grayson Allen news. I think both are nice value plays. We've got to wait in Grayson Allen confirmation. If Grayson Allen's out, that's almost identical plays. Bane should play big minutes. Thad Young probably plays 20 to 25. Thoughts on DeLon Wright? Like him if he starts at point guard, if Killian Hayes is out. Bryant or Nurkic, that's a close one. I do like them both as kind of, I don't think they're going to be, either are going to be super popular. I'll go Bryant, but I do like those guys in that range. What's your take on Culver? I like him for value. I think he'll play about 30 minutes. Good matchup. Shot the ball 0 of 10 last game. Richardson, yeah, I think Jay Rich is fine. Hayward, DeRozan, Beal, Curry, and single entry. I think that's good. Favorite 30. Oh, like if you're going to make me pick between those guys or what? What's the question there, Jonathan? Favorite 3,500 utility spot. Already have Neto. Torn between Thad, Dozier, and Prince. I'll go Thad Young there. Would you play Otto Porter and Thad Young? I think you can do it. I think you can. Thad Young's cheap enough. Again, if that game's going to stay competitive, the Bulls basically ran like an 8-man rotation. Jay Rich or Reddish, that one's close too. With DeAndre Hunter playing, it's almost identical plays now. Maybe slight edge to Jay Rich, but yeah, that's really close. Jarrett Culver or Pirtle. So close there too. I think Cash Game's Pirtle, but Culver is a guy that I do like at his price for GPPs. $2 super chat. Thank you, man. Neto, D'Lo, Brooks. KD, Plumlee, Mitchell, Portis, Nurkic, and Cash. I guess the only issue I have with Bobby Portis playing Cash is you need the blowout, right? Everything else is fine for like Cash games, but you kind of need the blowout for Portis. So maybe go up from Plumlee to like Thomas Bryant and then go down from Portis to like one of those cheaper value plays. And that's the only reason it's cash games. Like Portis, you need the blowout. So I don't know if he's necessarily a cash game play because you need one side of the game to happen. Malik Beasley, I do like him in the mid-range. Favorite small forward value, kind of went over that. I think the Hawks guys, Josh Richardson, DFS, or Royce O'Neal for cash. Favorite center under 5K. Let's see. Center under 5K. So I think for cash games, it's Biyombo. Don't mind Millsap with no Michael Porter Jr. Might play a little bit more. Or you could look to Cantor for GPPs. But I think cash games is probably Biyombo because of the minutes. Small forward sucks. Who's the cash play? Yeah, there's no like standout cash game play for small forward. You have Tatum at the top, probably for me if you're looking at the top range. DeRozan more in the mid range. And then you have like those Atlanta wings. You have Otto Porter Jr. But again, there's some blowout risk there. So a little fringe cash game viable. Jay Rich looks like a decent value. So DFS, Royce O'Neal at the bottom. Rubio or Tyus Jones, that one's close. I expect Tyus to play more minutes, but I like the upside a little more with Rubio, so I'll go Rubio. Derrick Jones Jr., he's like a fine cash play, really low floor. Got to keep an eye on the status of, where is he? On Gary Trent Jr. If Trent Jr. plays, I think that limits the minutes of Derrick Jones Jr. Do you get cores on, core plus player pool plus if-then statements plus private roster construction videos for main and showdown sites plus the private live stream. That's all on Patreon. Collins or DeRozan, that one's close too. I'll go Collins because of the matchup, but that's really, really close. Naz Reid or Clark, Naz Reid. Brooks or Anderson. I'll go Brooks. I think the upside is a little bit higher in Dylan Brooks. Tristan Thompson or Tice Thompson. Thoughts on GP, Neal, Neto, Richardson, Culver, Portis, Steph, Thad. Yep, I like that. I like that stuff. Do you like Carmelo or Culver? That one's close. I'll go Culver because he shot the ball 0 of 10 last game, but that one is close. Thompson or Tice Thompson. Jeff Teague viable? Yes. If he starts, I think we're still waiting on that starting lineup news. But if Teague starts, I think he is a pretty decent value play. Should start at point. Probably play, high 20s minutes. Derek White, minutes limit off the bench. So how many minutes does he play is in question. But yeah, again, still a little bit of risk with those Spurs guys. Culver viable, yes. Do you like Enes Kanter? Yes, for GPPs. Again, Thompson there. Oubre and Curry or JV and Hayward. I'll go the second one just because I'm not super high on Oubre tonight. Loving Kanter this season. He's been a good point per guy. Jokic and Culver, Valanciunas and Brooks. That one's also close. I'll go the first option though. Best guard under 4,200. 4,200 and under guard. Well, it's Roll Neto if he starts at cash. Or if he starts at point guard. Also Teague, if he starts at point guard, I like him. And if Killian Hayes is out, I like DeLon Wright. So there's like two options here: Teague, DeLon Wright, or to spend down with Raul Neto if he starts. So there's three options there. Best sixth place, 6,500 or under. All right, 6,500 or under. I mean, I like Thomas Bryant a lot. You can go Kobe White for the upside. Again, there is risk here. So Kobe White for the upside. I think Thomas Bryant's a little bit safer if you're going for the safety. Also, don't mind Dylan Brooks. So, yeah, there's like 3 plays there. DeRozan for cash, you can do it. I'm the most confident with his minutes, but might lose a couple with Derek White back. Beasley, I do like Malik Beasley. Fine playing Bryant and Reed. Yes, you can do it. Both should play. Bryant should play over 30 minutes. Naz Reed should play mid-20s minutes if they both stay out of foul trouble. Clarkson, fine. Play off the bench, mid-20s minutes. He's fine. Thad Young, viable? Yes, because he's cheap. Keldon Johnson, a little worried about those secondary pieces with Derek White coming back. Trae Young or Beal. Beal for the discount, but it's close. Adebayo or Valanciunas. Adebayo or Valanciunas. Okay, so I'd rather have Bam than I'd rather have JV than Bam, and Tatum or Beal. I'd rather have Beal. Best. Let's see. Killian Hayes is active. Okay, so DeLon Wright's out of play for me at least. Best forward 3,900. Okay, a couple more questions here, guys. 3,900 forward. I don't like a lot here. I think probably Thad Young at 3,500. Thad Young or Gary Harris. Again, Gary Harris, the minutes will be there. It's just a fact of does he hit a shot. So Thad Young or Gary Harris for me. $5 super chat. Wow, thank you, Matthew. Covington, Robert Covington and Hayward, or Cam and Collins, or Cam and Hayward. So I'm guessing that's Cam Reddish, right? Covington and Hayward, or Cam and Collins, Cam Reddish and John Collins, or Cam and Gordon Hayward. I'll go Cam and John Collins there. I think I like that the best. Is playing Jackson, Grant, and Tatum risky due to blowout chance? Yeah, I mean there's some blowout risk in that Detroit game, so yeah, it's a little risky. No one playing Pirtle. I think Pirtle's a fine cash play. Durant or Kyrie, close. I'll go KD, but very, very close there. Am I dumb? No. Zach LaVine has a lot of upside. Those Bulls have a good amount of upside if the game stays competitive. Let's see. DeRozan, Culver, DeMar DeRozan, Culver, Brown, Thad, or Anderson with Otto or Barton for cash. Wait, DeRozan, Culver, Jaylen Brown, Thad, or Kyle Anderson with Otto for cash. I'll go to Rosen and Culver. Thad Young or Trae Young or Beal. Value Young or Bane. Oh, Thad Young or Bane, that's close. They're almost identical plays for me. If Grayson Allen is in fact out, I think Bane should play over 30 minutes. He does become a pretty solid value play. Thad Young, certainly in play. I expect mid-20s minutes for him. I do like him at that price. Naz Reed or Rubio. I'll go Rubio, but that is close. Thank you. Got to scratch some stuff. No problem. Happy New Year, Ollie. Happy New Year. Thoughts on Doncic? Like him for GPPs. I know he's going to have a big game tonight when I'm off him. Can you play Durant? Yes, you can play them both together. Any changes to the core, we'll go over that in the Patreon stream. I'll talk about a couple different options you can go to. But yeah, we'll talk about that in the Patreon. KD or Tatum, KD for me. Free Bobby Portis. Like him for GPPs. You need the blowout, though. Kyrie or Beal, but it's close. Holiday, Ball, Beal, Russell, KD, Otto, Collins, Naz. Yeah, I think that's fine. Again, LaMelo Ball is, I don't know if he has that good of a game again, but I think he's a fine option. Do you think Gafford gets extra? Yes. Gafford will play more if the game blows out. So like Daniel Gafford's a guy you can punt with. If you think the game blows out, he should play over 20 minutes in a blowout. Thoughts on Thad Young? I do like Thad Young for value. PJ Dozier viable? Yes. Would prefer Monte Morris if in fact Jamal Murray's out. But PJ Dozier would become an interesting pivot. He's a high usage guy, so kind of like him as a contrarian play. Thanks for the help. Have a happy New Year and best of luck tonight. Hey, I appreciate that. Thank you as well. PJ Washington or Naz Reid? That one's actually close. Both have issues with foul trouble risk. I'll go PJ, but man, that's a close one. Westbrook not playing tonight. Yes, Neto, if he starts at point guard, is a really solid value play. Carmelo or Culver or Patrick Williams? I think Culver. Bryant or Gobert? If you can get to Gobert, but I like the discount of Bryant. Are Portis and Thad Young viable? And yes, and the reason being is that they're both really cheap, right? And Thad Young, I think he plays in the blowout. I mean, he's a veteran, maybe not the whole time, but he's like a backup now, so he'll probably get some minutes in the blowout. He's so cheap. And then Bobby Portis will extend it. So, yes, you can do it. Refresh Fantasy Labs. Okay, let's see. Any more news? Let's see. I'll stay on for another couple minutes, guys. Okafor active. Killian Hayes active. Murray, Walker, DeRozan, Johnson, Pirtle. Okay, so we're kind of up to date on that. Again, a couple more questions here. Then I gotta get out of here. Collins or Washington? What about John Collins? Well, John Collins, if you can get to him. Has Trae Young been missing free throws? just join the Patreon. Hey, thanks. Welcome aboard, man. Patreon stream, free or no? It's premium content. That it's in the description below. Yes, I'll post it on Patreon. Portis does not need a blowout. That's overthinking BS. Dude needs 15 minutes to smash the Bulls. Okay. I mean, if you think that's fine. If you think that's BS, but I think you need the blowout for him to really smash. Because if the game stays competitive, 16 and 18 minutes. So can he get that done in 16 and 18 minutes? Yeah. But you really kind of need the blowout for him to get extended. So, or foul trouble. Portis or Patrick Williams? I like the upside more on Portis. Bryant or Gobert? Again, Gobert if you can get to him, but I like the discount on Bryant. Portis or Cantor? Both are GPP plays. Both are nice GPP plays. Again, that's close. Cantor might be a little safer, but Portis, if the game does blow out, should have a nice game. Dame or Kyrie, Reddish and Cash, you can do it. Pritchard, viable value play. You think Mitchell's viable? He's a little bit underpriced. D-Mitch and Gobert underpriced. Yes, you can play Naz Reid and Rubio together. Hunter playing? Yes, I think he's a fine play in the mid-range. Again, we went over Bryant versus Gobert. Do you like Conley? I haven't looked on Yahoo, but I think Conley's always like a fine cash play. Patreon, yes, Patreon stream is at 6:30, so coming up in about 8 minutes. 8,600 and under utility. Let's see, 8,600 under utility. I think Tatum, if you can get to him. If not, JV. That's probably what I would do. Still can't get in Patreon. Did you sign up? You might have to refresh. Middleton, Levine, or Donovan Mitchell. So, let's see. I think for safety, it's Donovan Mitchell, right? Because that Bulls game has a good chance of blowout. For upside, I think I go Levine there. Bane or Neto. Neto if he starts, but both would be viable. Gary Harris or Bane, yeah, that's a close one. Again, if Grayson Allen is out, I expect about 30 minutes for Desmond Bane, so that would be a close one. I guess I'll give the edge to Bane, but yeah, Tatum or Durant, Gary Harris or Desmond Bane. So yeah, so Bane, but it's close, but you need Grayson Allen is out. If Grayson Allen is in, I would go Gary Harris. Otto Porter, like his upside for GPPs. Giannis or Jokic, that's a tough one. If the Bulls game stays close, I'll go Giannis, but really like the upside in both of them. What about Curry? Like him for GPPs. Reed or Rubio, but it's close. DeRozan, Collins, or Hayward for cash. Oh, man. The reason Hayward, I have a little fringe, or like, I'm not as high because they're a little bit more balanced team. DeRozan with Derek White coming back a little risky. I'll go John Collins as a matchup, but not like overly excited about those three guys. Do you think LeBron is a beast? I think LeBron's a good player. Best 3,700 utility, not named Neto. I would probably say Thad Young at 3,700. Let's see. Last question here then. Again, guys, I get out of here. So you said 3,700. I would say Desmond Bane. So I would say Bane. If in fact Grayson Allen is out, I would go Desmond Bane there. That's close. I mean, that's close with him and Thad Young. And people have asked me that. That's basically coin flip with Bane and Thad Young. So yeah, Luka over Jokic if you want to get contrarian. Right, I'm pretty sure Luke will finally have a big night when I'm off him. D'Lo or Brown, D'Lo. All right, guys. Hernan Gomez for value, risky. Don't know the myths. Neto or LaMelo, Neto for value. Thoughts on Gafford? You need the blowout, but he's a guy that does have upside if the game does blow out. White will be limited. Should keep DeRozan. Yeah, I mean, I think he'll probably play mid-30s minutes in competitive game. Josh Jackson, like for GPPs. Yes, Will Barton in play. All right, guys. I'm going to get out of here. Thanks again for the support. Really do appreciate it. Good luck tonight, guys, and I will see you guys all next time.